Zan Byrne. Fred Kelley been crushing people with his New Day Pancake Power shirt. He's on your left playing Mono Red Prowess against Zan Syed, who is playing Byrne. Zan has already won an Open this year, and he is off to a great start here. Best possible start as we are underway in our final match here on Saturday from Fort Worth, Texas. Prowess v. Byrne, Fred v. Zan. One of these players is going to leave here at 9-0 and on top of the standings. That's a Goblin Guide, a Trigger, it's an attack, a Reveal is a Mountain, and a Lightning Bolt will take care of the Goblin Guide. So we're going to head back over to Fred Kelley. Keep in mind, Fred Kelley's deck lost Faithless Looting, and he's still doing just fine without it.
Yeah, a little bit of a different card selection here than what Ryan Overturf has advocated, and recently top 4 Grand Prix Minneapolis with Runaway Steamkin in this deck list now.
I kind of like that. We got a little bit of a beatdown here. Swift Spear, light up the stage, revealing Soulscar Mage and a Mountain. So something to do on turn number 3 for Fred Kelley for sure as we head back over to Zan.
Kelley's list also down to 3 copies of Bedlam Reveler. That was something that I was talking about with Ryan earlier today. I think it makes sense to cut at least one, possibly more. Faithless Looting was really, not only just accelerated the rate at which you got to Bedlam Reveler on the cheap, but really insulated you from the downside of drawing multiple copies of Bedlam Reveler. Now, without Faithless Looting, I think losing one copy of that card at least makes a lot of sense, and it looks like Kelley agrees.
Zan taking a moment here to silence his phone. Apparently it was ringing. A little bit annoying when you're trying to play a match, especially for 9-0 on day 1. All 4s in this burn list. You'll see that on Cardboard Live soon enough. And then a couple of lands here. Plenty of white sources for some of the sideboard cards that we'll get to. Now, it is worth noting, Fred Kelley did beat Dylan Donegan earlier.
I watched the match in question. Game 2, Dylan Donegan won with a bunch of core Firewalkers, but in the third game, Fred Kelley was able to find a Shrine of Burning Rage out of the sideboard, answer a core Firewalker, and then win with more powerful cards.
A Swift Spear and a Goblin Guide here for Zan. Trigger, take a look. It's crashed through. That'll be the reveal, so that'll stay on top of the deck there for Kelley. 3 damage will come through, and Zan's going to pass it back over to Fred. And all the pancake power of the New Day will begin turn number 3. Mountain will enter the battlefield there from Light Up the Stage. Soulscar Mage still hanging out in exile if Kelley wants to play that card. Looks like he's going to go to Runaway Steamkin, and now he'll play the Soulscar Mage.
Yeah, Kelley here getting set up pretty well to potentially get to a turn 4 kill here. We know about Crash Through in his hand as well. He's going to have 3 creatures on the battlefield. Not easy for Syed to use removal spells here, and obviously blocking is off the table once Crash Through is part of the equation. So if Kelley's hand is rolled up with a lot of spells, we might see lethal as soon as next turn.
We head back over to Zan now. We might have to pick off some creatures, but of course when you're playing Burn, you'd rather deal the damage to the opponent as opposed to the creatures, unless it's Searing Blaze. So we'll see what Zan is up to here on his 3rd turn of the game. He'll start by playing a Sunbake Canyon, a huge upgrade for this deck. A card I know you like quite a bit.
I got turned on to more and more copies. I started off much lighter. I think I started off with 2 in the list, and just as time has gone on, you can have some concerns about how many of these cards you want in this kind of matchup, but at the end of the day, I think it's just too powerful in this sort of strategy. The most common way to lose games with Burn, agnostic of matchup, is just flooding out. And Sunbake Canyon, and even a Fiery Islet, which Zan has incorporated 1 copy of, does so much work to manage flooding out.
Helix took care of the Steamkin. Now there's some attacks here. And now Zan is going to play a Lightning Bolt, take care of the Soulscar Mage. So picking out some creatures with some burn spells here is Zan.
This is still kind of a tough way to do it here, because as the game goes on, Prowess often gets the better end of it because you start playing towards things like Bedlam Reveler. But also, Syed knows that he's at risk of getting killed on the way back here if he allows Kelley to keep his Prowess creature, so he's got to do a little bit of management of the battlefield.
And this is another copy of Runaway Steamkin. The follow-up now is a copy of Crash Through. Steamkin will get a counter. Kelley will draw a card. Swift Spear is now a 2-3. Steamkin is a card that does play really well with the Lava Dart aspect of this deck. Can't forget about that. Kelley not too sure what he wants to do here right now. He's going to go to Lava Dart, so Steamkin will get a counter. Deal 1 damage to Swift Spear. He'll sacrifice the mountain, deal another damage to Swift Spear. That's a 3rd counter. Now you can remove all those counters for more red mana if you want, or you can just be happy having a 4/4 on the battlefield, which is bigger than most of what the burn deck can do.
Yeah, 4 is kind of a magic number here. Kelley's at 12, which is not the highest, but he's got a little bit of cushion here. And if next turn Syed attacks with the Goblin Guide and the Steamkin eats the guide plus a spell, that's a great exchange. And Syed might not be able to engage with the Steamkin at all.
So we go back over to Zan. For you mono-red prowess or mono-red Phoenix players, or heck, even you Izzet Phoenix players that all lost Faithless Looting, this might be your replacement deck here. No Arclight Phoenix, it appears, but looks like it's doing pretty well here for Fred Kelley, as a couple Rift Bolts are going to go on a suspend here for Zan, and he will simply pass the turn back. So Fred can put himself at a virtual 6 as far as his life total is concerned.
And Syed down to 1 card in hand. So no way to have lethal rolled up for next turn with the resources he has right now, but obviously a lot of draw steps can put it together, assuming Kelley falls to 6 from the Rift Bolts.
And I think if you're Fred Kelley in this spot, you can figure out that what Zan has in hand is a spell, because if it was a land, you think you'd want to play it to be able to break the Sunbake Canyon.
Yeah, even Inspiring Vantage he would still play, because the mana would be tight the following turn if you needed to break the Sunbake Canyon. So the odds that he's bluffing with a land in hand is almost nil.
3 red mana here from the Steamkin. Going to use 1 of it. Going to play a copy of Burst Lightning. That'll take care of the Goblin Guide. Steamkin will get a counter. 2 red floating still here for Fred Kelley. He's going to play a Mountain, it looks like. Actually, I'll go with the Sunbake Canyon. That's probably a little bit better right now anyway. Going to count in the graveyard to see what's going on. And now here comes Bedlam Reveler. Put a counter on the Steamkin, and now there goes the excess mana. So he's already played a land for the turn, has Fred Kelley. He'll discard a land, he'll draw 3 new cards. So Steamkin doing some real work here this game. Didn't get a great look at what he picked up, but you see at least 1 mountain. It appears to actually be 2 here for Fred. Does he have 1 more red spell to play is the question. He'd like to get that Runaway Steamkin up to 3 more counters total, and attack for 4.
Yeah, you'd like to do this over the course of 2 turns, not 3 if you can help it, because you're going to be falling to 6 from these Rift Bolts. Syed has a Sunbake Canyon to dig for help with, and just a lot of ways to get killed from this spot if you give Syed an extra turn.
Well, we're going to go back over to Zan now. Rift Bolts are going to resolve. Fred's going to fall down to 6. I don't think Zan has any interest in going to those creatures, so he won't, while Zan is at 11. If you're Zan, you have to imagine you're dead next turn. Now, he does have a copy of Boros Charm in hand. He draws a card.
Yeah, any of the 1 mana things gets done here. Really good sign for Kelley if this is how Syed is starting the turn.
Yep. There's a mountain. Pass the turn back. Now, you see Zan's life total is 11. You see Kelley right now has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points of damage on the battlefield. It doesn't take much for Fred to get the job done here.
It's 2 spells or any burn spell is lethal.
Mm-hmm. Draw. There's a mountain. This is a Swift Spear. Put a counter there. Has an attack for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I mean, any spell.
Well, you said any spell. That's a spell in Burst Lightning, and that'll get the job done. So Zan comes up a little bit short, and Fred Kelley crosses the finish line. Mono Red Prowess is going to win game number 1 here over Burn. Fred Kelley up a game right now over Zan Syed. So we go to the sideboards, and we'll start with Zan, who's got 4 core Firewalkers. We know those are coming in. 3 Smash the Smithereens, 2 Grim Lavamancer, 2 Path Exile, 2 Seasoned Pyromancer, and 2 Skullcracks.
So the 4 core Firewalkers obviously come in here. They're great for the obvious reasons. Once you're past that, I think Path to Exile is a reasonable card to consider. I think Seasoned Pyromancer is a reasonable card to consider, but I could easily see leaving them at home too. The Firewalkers, Kelley's all red cards, has protection for red, triggers off for red cards. Easy one to bring in.
Other side of things here for Fred Kelley, we got 3 Shrine of Burning Rage, 3 Abrade, 3 Dragon's Claw, 2 Alpine Moon, 2 Tormod's Crypts, a Flame Slash, and a Dismember.
So for similar reasons here, we would want the Dragon's Claws. I saw Kelley bring in Shrine of Burning Rage in this matchup before. I don't know if he had them in prior to seeing Core Firewalker or as a response to seeing them in game number 2 against Dylan Donegan. Could easily see them coming in regardless. The Abrades, maybe even the Flame Slash is okay if you want a little bit more removal.
Those are the options there for both players. Game number 2 going to be underway here in just a moment as Fred Kelley is up a game and 1 win away from having a perfect day number 1 of competition. Though Zan will be on the play here for game number 2. We'll watch that in a sec, but first we got to talk about a couple things here. Number 1 is the StarCityGames.com weekly sale, where this week up until Monday at 10:59 a.m. East Coast time, you can save big on foils to enhance your collection, like Gazella, Blade of Gold Knight, Brainstorm, Amanatu, and Phyrexian Tower, among many others. Go to StarCityGames.com/sale for more information there. And if you're into playmats, we got an awesome new one coming here for you too. Now you can register today for the September 28th and 29th, pre-release for Throne of Eldraine. It's an exclusive playmat available at participating stores. This one is called Bombs Awry. This is, I believe, a goblin of some sort, very angry on a bomb. Go to StarCityGames.com/pre-release for more information. Find a local store near you that's participating in our pre-release program and get this new addition to the Star City Games Creature Collection September 28th and 29th for participating stores of that Throne of Eldraine pre-release. I think previews for that set are going to start in like 2 days. I don't think we'll have one for Labor Day. I imagine everyone's off in the Wizards of the Coast offices, but maybe on Tuesday. And I'm really looking forward to that set. We're going to get our big cyclical release.
Yes.
Bunch of sets out, new sets in.
Love a big rotation. Love a big rotation.
I love a big rotation too. And honestly, this is kind of crazy to think, but like this modern format, it just feels like a huge rotation just took place.
Definitely.
With the bannings.
It doesn't take a whole lot in terms of total number of cards to radically change things. Stoneforge Mystic, a highly impactful unban, and Faithless Looting. Not only was Faithless Looting in the best decks, but I think it really contributed to just how fast the format had become. It feels like there's been a reset of sorts. We're seeing, more decks that the fastest kill they aspire to is turn 4 instead of turn 3. And people playing with cards in their sideboard that cost more than 0 or 1. And I think you can kind of tie all that back to Faithless Looting no longer being part of the format.
It was a long time, and we knew that Faithless Looting, if it left, it would kill a lot of decks with it. But we've seen some decks that did play Faithless Looting that still exist. Example, Mono Red Prowess.
I think the way that it was described to me is just how much the format, when it was built around Faithless Looting, was just about all these decks having a bunch of Black Lotuses. Whether you're cheating on mana, be it with, Vengevine, Bloodghast, Togak, Arclight Phoenix, all those cards. Now we're seeing people just pay 2 or 3 mana on the second or third turn for cards that cost 2 or 3 mana.
Well,
that wasn't really a thing that was happening. I mean, it's it sounds extreme, but if you go back and look at Modern over the last 9 months, there wasn't a whole lot of that going on, and now it looks like there's a little bit more breathing room for those cards to be played.
I like that. I like a format where figuring out what 3 mana spells you're supposed to play matters.
Yep.
Now, they're powerful 3 mana spells because they're modal. Your Bant Charms, your Kaya's Guiles, all that stuff, but that's okay.
Right. It's nice to have cards that are played not because of how much they just brute force the game into your advantage, but because they line up in certain ways. They give you options and flexibility.
Burst Lightning will take care of the Monastery of Swiftspear.
Yesterday I lost a game online to Primal Command.
Good.
That's great. Yeah. Awesome. Good for my opponent.
That's a card you're not going to see in Standard or Legacy.
Obviously,
it's got its own little home.
Obviously, they lost the match. Of course they did.
Well, that's true.
Primal Command.
Yeah.
But they did win that game.
They did. Don't bring your 5 mana sorcerers around here.
Are you kidding me?
Eidolon of the Great Revel comes down turn 2.
But that's a card that's in people's decks because of flexibility.
Yep.
There's a lot of different things you can do with it.
Fred Kelley, does he have another removal spell here? He elected to use that removal spell very quickly on the Swift Spear. No removal spell for the Eidolon, a Dragon's Claw instead. So Dragon's Claw will resolve. This will make life a little bit more difficult for Zan, as every spell that Zan and Fred plays now will gain Fred life, as there's a Sunbay Canyon. The follow-up now is a Goblin Guide. Now, Fred's got to remember his triggers with the old Dragon's Claw, but I have a feeling he won't forget.
Fred was on top of it against Dylan.
Yeah.
I watched.
I don't think he'll forget.
When I do the scouting report for players I think might be showing up on camera for the first time, I try to watch how they are with their triggers. Fred, very sharp. Because it's good to know if there's a slow update on the life total. Are we just being a little slow?
Yep.
Or did they miss it?
Sunbay Canyon is the reveal to the Goblin Guide, so that'll go to Fred Kelley's hand. He's going to fall down to 14. We're going to head back over to him. He will play a Sunbay Canyon. And that'll be a Lightning Bolt.
Big for Kelley here because now
it's actually a Burst Lightning, pardon me.
Now the Dragon's Claw starts pulling him ahead. Before he was still at a deficit against the Eidolon. Now it starts being positive for him to be playing these red spells. It puts a burden on Zan to keep passing spells as well, further playing into the Dragon's Claws.
And now there's a Swift Spear as well, so Kelley's going to gain some life in these exchanges as long as he remembers all of these triggers. Now, in this instance, he used the Sunbay Canyon to cast the Swift Spear, so he's not going to gain or lose anything. He'll stay neutral there. Zan looking at a couple copies of Lightning Bolt. He will cast one to take care of the Swift Spear. But now, if you're using that to kill creatures, that means Fred's gaining life, which is essentially the same as maybe drawing cards.
And there's a burden on in this matchup, I think, for Zan to be the faster deck because Bedlam Reveler is such a trump if the game drags on for a long time. So these exchanges here are really bad for Zan. He's getting further and further away from being able to threaten lethal. And really all Kelley needs to do is just keep casting spell, just whatever is good, because the Dragon's Claws just pulls him up the whole way through.
Goblin Guide feels compelled to come into the red zone. Zan will get those 2 points of damage across, but Kelley's drawing a land with the Mountain, and the Dragon's Claw is going to allow him to keep buying more time to play a longer game, which certainly favors him. This is a Manamorphose. He'll gain a life from casting that. I'm sure red has been added to the pool, so Kelley will draw a card. Manamorphose, still a very powerful card. Still one of the most powerful cards left over in Modern. I think people maybe have forgotten about it a little bit because they didn't see much play during Hogak's summer.
Well, it's also so connected to Faithless Looting, too. But the card is busted. I mean,
it'll be a Lava Dart. Sacrifice that Lava Dart to kill the Goblin Guide. Gain 2 life in that exchange. These are the kind of exchanges that Fred Kelley is happy to make.
And Zan's down to, what, 1 or 2 cards in hand? Kelley at 17.
And now there's a Lava Spike. Deal 3, gain 1 with the leftover mana from the Manamorphose. And Kelley happy to pass the turn back, sitting in a very enviable position as Zan will draw a card. All Zan can do is pass the turn back without a good answer to this Dragon's Claw. Kelley will play a Mountain, and there is the Bedlam Reveler that you mentioned there, partner.
Yeah, bad sign there for Syed that Kelley did not sacrifice the Sunbay Canyon last turn, indicating that he wanted the mana.
Zan may have a Path to Exile to play on the Bedlam Reveler, but again, these are the kind of exchanges that Fred Kelley really likes to make here. There is the path. There's a Goblin Guide. Here comes Goblin Guide, and light up the stage is the reveal. 2 damage to be dealt. Fred Kelley going to fall down to 17. We'll go back over to Fred, who's got a pretty big lead here, folks. He'll turn his deck around, so he's more comfortable drawing a card, and now he'll play a Lightning Bolt. Zan going to fall down to 9. This is going to allow him to play the Spectacle cost on Light Up the Stage.
Yeah, Kelley at this point not even concerned with trying to manage the battlefield here. Not going to bother with the Goblin Guide. Just try to get the game over with.
No land played yet from Kelley, if memory serves. So he'll play a land. he'll play a Runaway Steamkin. Keep in mind that he did have 4 mana when he played the Bedlam Reveler, but that got path exiled. So that was land number 5, and now the land for the turn is land number 6. Steamkin and a passing of the turn as we head back over to Zan. That's an Inspiring Vantage, and now this is a Searing Blaze. Landfall has been triggered. I don't think there's any way for Kelley to save the Runaway Steamkin here.
Yeah, and you cannot save it. You cannot prevent the damage to yourself by killing the Steamkin in response, because Searing Blaze has multiple targets.
So Kelley is going to lose 2 in the exchange because he gains life from the Dragon's Claw. Zan's actually going to hold back with the Goblin Guide at this point. Fiery Islet will be sacrificed here from Fred Kelley as well. One thing you can tell about his deck, he can get through it.
Yep.
With Reveler and Light Up the Stage and everything else, he can certainly get through it. His hand's going to fall down to 6 from that Lightning Bolt. The stage will be lit up. Kelley going to gain even more life. And there's Dragon's Claw and Monastery Swift Spear.
I mean, I guess the saving grace here is that Kelley is down to, I think, just lands in hand. But I just don't see Sam being able to come back from these Dragon's Claws at this stage.
Dragon Claw, the play. Swift Spear still left over there in exile. Zan's going to play a Monastery Swift Spear. That's going to gain Fred Kelley 2 life and just pass the turn back. So Fred will draw.
I think it has to involve one of Syed's core Firewalkers to even have a shot here. Pull himself up a little bit and get some breathing room, but still seems very challenging.
Another Swift Spear is going to bring Fred up even higher. If Burn is popular, Dragon's Claw might be the solution. It's popular here this weekend from Team Lotus Box. 4 of them are playing it. Zan is 8-0. Dylan Donegan, Collins Mullen, and Jeremy Bertarioni are all 7-1. So it has been a dominant display for them. But they have not been able to figure out Fred Kelley just yet. That's been the weakness in their game. Donegan lost to him, and it looks like Zan's about to.
This is the spot that Kelley's in right now where you can really feel the absence of Faithless Looting.
Yes.
That's usually the card that blows the game open in this stage, but he's just got to wait to find something of substance.
And Zan is just drawing and passing, and now here is a crash through. So these Swift Spears are 2-3 now. Pardon me. Zan's going to have a response. He's going to go Lightning Helixing one of these Swift Spears with the Prowess trigger on the stack. There we go. Kelley, I presume, will remember his Dragon Claw's triggers. But he is sitting at a cool 29.
Oh, my goodness.
Is this the dart?
I mean, if he's got a dart in response, he can save the Swift Spear that's being targeted. And he's got a crash through being dialed up here as well. So blocking is going to be very challenging, to say nothing of whatever Kelley might happen to draw off of this crash through.
Oh, Searing Blaze. Kelley's gaining a boatload of life in this exchange. Now there's a Lava Spike.
And so we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 spells cast so far.
I think so. So this is a pretty healthy attack with Trample.
So I'm counting this as a 5-6. Right? Crash through, dart, Lava Spike.
Sounds right to me. I think Zan wants to do some checking here. A double block, huh?
Yep.
Wow.
That's the plan there. Just keep it high enough to give yourself a draw to core Firewalker.
Hey, it's a start.
Do you want to know what the route is for Zan to win this game?
Drawing all of them. Probably.
Well, how does he actually literally go about winning the game?
I think it's just drawing like all your Firewalkers in a row.
He has to deck Kelley.
You think so?
He's not going to be able to win the game through damage.
Okay.
But the Prowess deck with all the Cantripping and Bedlam Revelers looks at a lot of cards.
Okay.
He can get decked.
Huh. I buy that.
With the 2 copies of Dragon's Claws on the other side here, there's just no chance that you're going to be able to cast red spells and deal damage. He's going to have his own draw steps as well. But if you draw enough Firewalkers to gain life off of your spells, to be able to block any number of Bedlam Revelers, all that, you could theoretically deck him from here.
I buy that. I buy that. It's a hard way to do it, but I buy it. I think that may have been another. Nah, I don't think that was a white card. All right, spike you. I gain a life, you gain 2 life. So we got to get a little creative, huh?
You got a long way to go.
Yeah. No doubt about that. Let's see what this is. Okay, a couple knuckleheads. Zan gets to gain 2 life, where Kelley gets to gain 4.
So the upshot of this from Kelley's side is now any spell turns all of his creatures into 2/3, and they're free to attack into the core Firewalker.
Spike is going to deal 1, and Zan will gain 1. Nice. Soul Scar Mage. Okay.
It's just any spell.
Yep. Didn't get a great look at what Zan drew. He'll play a land. I think this is Searing Blaze. All right, so that's going to kill Soul Scar Mage. Let's see what this one is. Live to stage.
Here we go. This is where the ball gets rolling here.
Bolt and Crash Through's got to be good.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, those have got to be good. Here's Crash Through. Good place to start. That's 2 spells.
So that Bolt before damage is going to be the 3rd spell of the turn. And I think Dart's just going to be too much here.
Yeah.
That's 6, 12, 14, plus the trample damage. Yeah, I don't think the Firewalker's enough to pull him out of this.
Had to draw a lot of Firewalkers, and I had to hope that Kelley never drew Crash Through, I think.
Yeah,
or didn't draw it for a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's 21 minus 2, 19 coming across off of Prowess plus Power, to say nothing of the bolts and everything that's resolved.
Mm-hmm. And Zan's just looking at a land in hand.
Yeah, if he's got nothing here, I'm sure this is lethal. Yep.
That is going to do it. Fred Kelley going to win this game and match over Zan Syed, and that means that